I first came into contact with Abraham June of 2006, and Art of Allowing and all that. But I have been, I guess I'll say, blessed enough to choose in my lifetime several personality characteristics that helped me to have a really lovely life. For the most part, even before that, I was a little bit lazy and a little bit selfish and incredibly optimistic. and so those,
Well, you're all born that way until they train it out of you, like breaking a horse.
Yeah, well, I guess
that is how you are all born. You expect everything to go your way, and when it doesn't, you throw tantrums until they make the consequence of your tantrum so troubling that you sort of get over that.
I guess I didn't break easy. But since it's become more deliberate, it's been, even more fabulous and magnificent.
Isn't it satisfying to do something on purpose? It's nice when nice things come, but to deliberately identify a desire and then deliberately move your mind into alignment with your desire, and then to get to consciously witness things lining up for the fulfillment of it, gives you the sensation of worthiness and empowerment like nothing else.
It is so amazing. As you say, the better it gets, the better it gets. It's like, I live in Asheville now. I'm in cosmic loving, just the whole shebang. And and you talk about controlling conditions and how that is a useless thing, and it seems to me that when you let go of that and align yourself, that really what happens is you create conditions. So in a very real way, that things line up around you. So it's kind of the back door to. And you're not going for that because you're just going for the joy.
It's interesting how you can stand in the absence of something that you want and imagine it. And at first, it's a little difficult to imagine it because it isn't there yet. And what is has more of your attention. But as you use the power of your ability to focus until you achieve a vibration of its presence rather than its absence, then it shifts and it comes into your experience. And now you have a positive presence to observe while you are further imagining. And at first, the imagery is a little difficult because it's easier to observe what is. But now you're on a roll. So now you begin to imagine more, and now it comes into existence, and now you have even more to observe that is positive. And that is why the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. Because each time you consciously achieve, your confidence of focus becomes more. People talk about words like faith, and at its strongest basis, the definition that we would give to faith is an understanding of the laws and a practiced and therefore belief in my ability to focus, and then a logical expectation of a positive outcome.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take very much to really get that rolling, does it? Because the universe is so cooperative. It will show you immediately. It's just knowing what the rules are and applying them deliberately. And once you do it a little bit, you are unstoppable.
And choosing to notice the little cues that you're on your path, too. To rather than discounting that thing just happened just magically, and just saying, well, that was just it's like, no, that was meaningful. That was a signpost. That's, I'm on my way.
Well, when you make the correlation between what you're thinking and feeling and what's happening, you've got it.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that people spend so much time looking at and talking about, and that's the weather. It's like, no wonder the weather forecasts are always wrong, because people are like, man, hot enough for you? And it's like, this drought, I can't stand this drought. So there's spent so much time, I've been trying to get out of this a little bit, but spend so much time thinking about, the weather and how it's been and what it's likely to be, and rather than just lining up yourself. And it's curious to me as to how that works with so many people co-creating. It's not like you can have your own little biome around your house where it's not a drought. Well, you can, but
Well, you can.
The other day,
you can. In the middle of Texas droughts, on more than one occasion, the news announced there is an unusual, it came out of nowhere, we didn't see it coming, we can't believe it's here, isolated thunderstorm over Boerne, Texas.
Yes.
It happened again and again all summer.
And, you know, when I realized that there was a drought, because I hadn't been paying any attention, I don't, you know, listen to the news or anything, and I just started thinking about, you know, how nice rain is and how much I like it, and it rained, you know. It's just like, so how does weather work?
Well, that's why we're going to tell you that in a minute, but that's why we encourage you to think about what you want and why you want it, because if you want rain because you don't have it, not having it is part of the mix. If you want rain because it feels good, now not having it is not part of the mix, and so your vibration is pure. And one who is in alignment with Source is more powerful than a million who are not. So you don't need to worry about people. People, for the most part, are pretty much giving their attention to what's dominant around them. And much of that is dictated by what's force-fed to you through the media channels. But you're right about weather. That's something that Esther laughs about it, because she'll hear a forecast and she's not sure. They complain about the drought, but then they complain about the rain ruining the upcoming weekend. And she can't figure out if they want the rain or if they want the drought or if they want the sunny day. And then she's decided they just want to make trouble. They just want to make, because they have learned that people are more likely to listen to them when they talk about troubles, because people are more protection oriented than they are what they want oriented. People are more problem oriented than solution oriented. Not naturally, but it's sort of that upstream way that we were talking about, that you've trained yourself to be. So knowing what you know, as you think about the rain and why you want it, you line up with it. As you think about the people who aren't lining up with it, you don't line up with it. In other words, you can't even give your attention to those who are not lining up with it without getting out of alignment with who you are. And so you really sort of have to just mind your own business about everything and think about what you want and why you want it relative to whatever it is, and watch how the universe will yield to you everything that you are asking for. In absence of resistance, all things are possible. In the presence of resistance, when you have resistance to something that you want, nothing can buck your current. You are so powerful. So there are a number of things we want to say about weather. First, humans in their physical form are not controlling the weather. It's a big pattern, and it is being orchestrated at a broader perspective from, you're really going to like this, the contrast that you have all lived, that you have launched forward into your vibrational escrow. That vibrational escrow is the summoning power of the large event weather patterns. So, in a sense, you could say, well, the cumulative worry or fear or positive expectation does have some influence on it. But then we remind you that you didn't just start your intention when you got here in this physical body. Your intention was set forth long before. And this planet upon which you are living, this living, breathing being, is a creation that has vibrational roots that go far beyond what you even can see, as the mass has formed into something that you perceive as the flesh, blood, and bone of the planet itself. So this is really our way of saying that man, from your disconnected vantage point, is controlling very little of that kind of stuff, and you just don't need to worry about it. In other words, it's like worrying about the population that is controlled from a broader perspective. It's not controlled from this perspective. As you're watching them worrying about the endangered species, and we say there's an evolution of the species upon your planet. Do you really miss the dinosaurs? Do you really? And if man had been here, we're sure that you would be off there. Anderson Cooper would be out there right now with his camera pointing at the last dinosaur. And we're wanting you to understand that you just don't need to worry about those things. They're orchestrated from broader perspective. And your work, you hear us say all day, every day, even in the analogy that we offered you just now about these never-ending resources, and you've got your stream of resource which you are applying to the benefit of your experience, and you're complaining about what everybody else is doing with their resources. And you just don't need to do that about what other individuals are doing, and you certainly do not need to worry about the well-being of this planet. It is huge. It is huge. And there are pockets and minuscule pockets, shadows that you provide through your negative thought, but you will not stop the well-being of this planet, even if 100% of you got negatively focused on the same subject on the same day. All of the resistance that you could muster is minuscule in comparison with the well-being that you have been launching into vibrational escrow for long before the first one of you ever walked this earth. In other words, well-being is huge. We have all come so far in this pattern of creating. Well-being is dominant. You don't walk into a room and look for a dark switch. You don't expect to find a knob that makes inky, misty darkness cover up the light. You know that there's a source of light which you can resist, diminish, but there's not a source of darkness, and there's not a source of bad weather. There's a source of good weather. There's a source of well-being. There's a source of moisture. There's a source of abundance. Have you noticed that there are no pipelines to other planets bringing you water or food or seeds? Don't you think it's interesting that you still have the means with which you cannot have enough fires or enough squandering or enough mismanagement to stop the proliferation of species and food and well-being? It's huge. You must give up your struggle. It is so illogical.
Yeah, I gave up saving the world this year. It was great.
And in doing so, because the world does not need to be saved, and in doing so, you stop using something that you have no control over, that is none of your business, that's not in peril anyway. You stop using that as your excuse to pinch yourself off from the resources that you had already individually queued up for you. Now let's talk about something. Think about this, because this is the way it is, and as you wrap your thoughts around it, you'll feel better. Every point of consciousness has only selfish perspective. And every point of consciousness, whether it's a cell in your body, a one-celled organism, whether it's you as a full-blown genius creative human, every point of consciousness is selfishly oriented because you can only see through the perspective of self. So no matter where you are, you're perceiving. Esther loves to look at the little fish in the tanks and the little turtles or the ants, and she thinks, ooh, you're a little point of consciousness and you're thinking about what's best for you. She loves chasing the fly out of the bus. She loves how smart the fly is. It knows what that yellow can is. And it knows what to do for its own well-being. She doesn't even have to threaten it. She just says, I'm going to get the yellow can. In other words, every point of consciousness knows what's best for it, you see. And so as every point of consciousness is selfishly oriented and is asking not for its neighbor, not for someone else, for it, and since Source is across the board responding 100% to everyone about everything that they are asking for, there is no competition. But most of all, can you feel how assured well-being must be for all if every point of consciousness knows what's best for self, and Source is agreeing and giving every point of consciousness what it's asking for? And it's only when you hate instead of love that you get out of alignment with the well-being. In other words, it's only when you push against what you don't want that you achieve a vibrational match to what you don't want and deprive yourself of what you do want. But you can only do that for yourself. And what we want to say to you about the peril of the planet, we know it's not your message anymore, but what we want to say to you about it is that there are not enough of you. You could not get negatively focused enough to make any difference in the well-being of this planet, because the well-being of this planet is so assured. But you could get fixated on things and make yourself frightened, and you could mess up your own individual economy. You could get fixated on things and push against so many things that you deprive yourself of what you've been asking for. So you get your stream. You know that every time you deprive yourself of something that you want, your stream goes faster, because when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So your stream goes faster, you worry, worry, worry. Your stream goes faster, you worry, 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 until more and more people are feeling more and more tense. And then more and more people who are feeling more and more tense say, we're more and more in trouble. And we say, we're not in trouble, you're in trouble.